Welcome to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw, coming to you from the Harbor Entrepreneur Center in Charleston, South Carolina. We are talking today with Bratton Riley. He is the CEO and founder of CityBot. Yes?
Indeed.
CityBot.
I am. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about CityBot.
So CityBot is a way to help government step up their customer service game, which we all would probably agree.
I was about to say, that sounds like an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'd all probably agree that there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we enable citizens to connect into their city and county governments at this point via text. And then we're running AI-driven technology behind it so that citizens can ask questions, citizens can report issues that the city needs to fix, and then the citizens can send a message in and be heard.
Okay.
And then they receive instant gratification from getting an immediate response.
Okay, so give me an example of something that I might be able to
Sure, let's say your trash wasn't
about.
picked up on a regularly scheduled day, and it's right after the holidays and your trash bin is full. And so what you would do is just text to the CityBot number and just type in trash pickup, and CityBot would come back and ask you for your name and address. That work order would get logged into their system, and then they'd come pick up your trash, and then when it was finished, you'd get an automatic text back saying, "Thank you so much, Mr. Holtzclaw. We have picked up your trash for you today." So we close the government customer service loop. Government does what it said it was going to do and lets you know about it.
Yeah.
And
I needed that this past week because I'm a city resident where I live,
Yes.
and I pay city taxes, and I was stuck at the bottom of a hill because the city had not come and salted my road yet. So it'd been nice to have gone to the city.
Great application.
Said, by the way, we only have 24 more hours of food left. So his favorite, there's the app next door, and there were like several people in my neighborhood who were posting, "Is anyone delivering food? I have hungry children." So anyway, so tell me about how did you come up with the idea?
So I was recruited into the technology space here about 2 years ago, and pretty soon after that, we were building third-party apps, or a company that was building third-party apps, and became aware of the chatbot technology. And my programmers at the time were super into that technology and believed in the space and where it was going. And then Facebook invested itself in the chatbot technology when Facebook Messenger, Mark Zuckerberg announced, "I'm connecting Facebook Messenger to the chatbots out there." And that was a big watershed moment for my tech team. Like, this is getting to be serious. Let's take a look at this. And then I knee-jerked it into something that I'm passionate about, which is civic government. My father was the mayor of Charleston.
Oh, wow.
For 40 years.
Wow.
I'm 44, so literally...
You spent your whole life.
My whole life with this very
I've
unique...
heard of like preacher's kids. You're a mayor's kid.
Yes, I am a mayor's kid. And so I just had a very unique perspective on city government, and am passionate about the proximity of city government to its citizens and the opportunities for city governments to build relationships of trust with their citizens because of that proximate relationship. And then becoming aware of the fact that you can connect this chatbot technology to text messaging. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with a lot of privilege. I knew how to navigate City Hall. I knew how to get in touch with the person I needed to talk to. Your average Joe, I don't think, has that feeling at all. It's like, how do I get in touch with people? How do I report an issue? How do I ask a simple question?
Yeah, and it feels, as an average citizen who's done a little bit in that space, but not enough to, just enough to be dangerous, you always perceive that the company that you're working with, or sorry, the government is so far behind, right? Exactly. Like, I want to send you a text message, and you want me to come down to City Hall and fill out a form, and I don't even know what place to go to or how to ask the question and that kind of thing. So seeing them adopt the newer technologies is always helpful.
Yes, and they are technological laggards.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And just to make another point, just becoming aware of connecting the chatbot technology to text and to the messenger apps, it enables people that might have less privilege to have access to their governments, because by and large, most everyone now is texting.
Yeah.
And it's just, and the reason why they're texting is because it's the easiest form of communication.
Right.
So that's a big passion area of mine too. It's just like, I want government to be more accessible, and I want folks who might not normally feel like government is out there for them to have more opportunities to feel that way.
Yeah.
So we're working on it, but yes, cities are technological laggards, and so it's just interesting, as a part of my sales process. It just depends on who I talk to, whether they remotely understand what I'm talking about or not. And by and large, they do, because they all know about text messaging.
Yeah, and what I do want you to do is to explain or define a little bit the concept of a chat bot, because people, you hear about this almost like you hear about cryptocurrency and some of these things. It's this new thing, and I've seen some webinars on it, and not everyone may know how a chat bot works differently from just text messaging or other things.
Sure.
So, yeah.
It's this is not the technical definition. The way I describe it is it's a human to technology conversation in the same category of what a Siri or an Alexa is. And so what the technology enables us to do is make it such that government responds in real time to a citizen, and we set the proper expectations with the citizen that, no, this is not human.
Yeah.
But it is human-like in some ways to just help efficiencies occur in that customer service process. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's it knows how to put things into the system without having to call somebody, and it feels like I'm having a real conversation.
That's right.
Though it's maybe just I'm talking to a machine or to a bot of some sort.
That's correct. And what's super fun for me too is, I would say they call them tier 2 or tier 3 cities. I don't really know what the definition of that is, but let's just say cities below like 75,000, below 50,000. I talked to a city yesterday that has 3,000 people.
Yeah.
What's cool is we can price to scale in terms of expected volume of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so smaller cities that might otherwise not feel like they have the opportunity to buy the new technology, the new tools, they do with our product too. So it's cost effective and scalable by volume. So it's cool to be able to give that opportunity to smaller cities too.
Yeah, and so in talking with the cities, which is where I want to take the conversation next, I imagine, and I could be wrong, that you walk into a spaghetti of different types of technology. Like they're using things that are off the shelf and homegrown and been around for a while. And so how do you navigate that? So like that definition you gave me of being able to put in, I need somebody to come pick up my garbage. Well, that system might be older, right? That creates that request.
It's all over the map, and the short answer to the question is I'm learning every day, more and more about the spaghetti and how I position our product in the midst of all that. Yeah. So by no means am I an expert,
right?
At all, but I think our largest probably indirect competition are a government mobile app where you download the app and then you can use that as a way to report issues like my trash wasn't picked up, et cetera. Right. And so apps are so like 2012.
They are so 2012.
And so, but cities are technological laggards.
Yeah.
So here we are 5 years later, roughly, which I generally say they're about a 5-year laggard. And so a lot of cities are just executing contracts to fold the app into their customer service suite, so to speak. And, a lot of them, what they'll say is they kind of end up checking that box. We check the customer service box because we got an app. Mm-hmm. Problem with apps is in 2016, half of Americans didn't download one.
Yeah. It's like the number is like 0.
Yeah.
The average number of apps downloaded on a monthly basis is 0.
That's right. And so I welcome that challenge because I feel very strongly about this. If you are a city government and you care about being accessible to everyone, apps aren't going to cut it for you.
Yeah.
And they're expensive too. And
And you'll see citizens who carry, like, they'll still carry a flip phone, or they'll carry a phone that's not a smartphone, so it isn't even app capable.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, we were talking about it yesterday in a marketing meeting. It was like looking at the evolution of customer service technology from the phone, email, website, social media, and apps. And just I liken it to, hey, I've got a phone system, I don't need email.
Right.
That's unfortunately the technology keeps evolving, and the reason why it evolves is because it's becoming more and more useful. And if you really want to be connected, this is what you need to be looking at. And then we're the first to market, so I'm having to make that case.
So you're educating the market.
I'm educating them. Exactly.
You're an evangelist. So you are a preacher's kid.
Yeah. I have been told to get off my soapbox a few times. So.
Well, we're going to do a commercial break, and when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about what the greater challenge is when working with the government organization. So is it that they say, we've never done it this way before, they don't understand it, it's the technology, they're afraid you're going to replace their job? Like, what is it that maybe becomes some of those hurdles when you're trying to get into those first they don't know how to pay for it? Like, that sounds like one of the challenges that you'd have to overcome, because
absolutely,
once it's in, it's about letting the citizens know they have it, right? So
exactly.
And citizens love to tell the government that they have a pothole or something else that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So you're listening to Build Your Best Business. I'm talking with Bratton Riley. He is the founder of CityBot. You're listening to Build Your Best Business on the Brittle Media Network, and we'll be back in just a second.
Tell us about Laddering Works.
So Laddering Works is a company that helps other businesses in one of two ways.
Okay.
So your company is either growing and you're not exactly sure how to keep up. So you need to scale operations, maybe raise some money, those kind of things.
So growing too fast.
Growing too fast. Growing too fast. You got kind of structural, you walk in every day, there's a fire. You've been doing it longer than 3 years or 1,000 days, and you still feel like you can't step away from the business and take a vacation. So we help companies on that side. So sort of operational support, looking at their financing, seeing if there's a way that we can help them, get to the next level. Or you're a company that's not doing any marketing at all. So you are maybe stalled. Your business has gotten to a certain level. You make a certain amount of money every year, but you've never gotten above that. And we come in and build marketing structure. So both of them are operational at the end of the day. It's about creating a process and a way to approach it that's strategic. It's that owners don't often know how to do both of those. So they're really good at sales, which means they may need operational structure because they're out signing more customers than they know what to do with. Or they've built a beautiful product that's the best kept secret. And so they need somebody to come in and help them market that product. And so that's the kind of businesses we look for. We come in as a stopgap, and we work with a company for somewhere around 12 to 18 months typically, solve those problems for them and leave them better than we found them. And we're back. You're listening to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Build Your Best Business focuses on the entrepreneurial journey. What does it take to successfully start, manage, grow, and eventually exit a business? We're talking today with Bratton Riley. He is the CEO of CityBot, and CityBot helps connect citizens to government in the way that they probably would like to communicate via text message, and just makes it more accessible. And before we went to the break, I told you I was going to ask you about kind of barriers, right? I could see in government going in, we've never done it that way before, or you're changing things. And what are some of the challenges? What are the bigger challenges of getting a city to adopt a technology like what you have?
It's time. Time is the biggest one. Just the sales cycle. It takes, a long time to go from initial connect to closing a transaction.
Yeah.
I can reduce the front end of the sales cycle a little bit just because of my last name, and that a lot of mayors, my father's still a household name for a lot of mayors across the country.
Yeah.
So that helps kind of get to the right person in government. And then it's a matter of, are you talking to someone that feels strongly about the accessibility piece? And the general answer is 100% yes. There's a lot of good people that work in city government, and I'm super biased, so I have to plead my bias to that. But so typically, you've got a very good human being that feels that way, and then the next threshold question is, can you buy into this technological evolution that we're talking about? And we use an AI system that's in the AWS ecosystem called Lex, which is a cousin of Alexa.
So artificial intelligence and the Amazon web server.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I always make fun of my military buddies for using all the acronyms.
And we technologists are the worst.
Yeah. Right. So I liken it to Alexa in a way because we're using a similar type technology.
Okay.
And people get that.
Right.
And so anyways, the better I get, the more I can reduce the sales cycles and try to find the right people to talk to helps. But that's the biggest challenge.
So sales cycle, but challenges on their side is that I'm afraid you're going to get rid of jobs. I'm afraid that, the technology's not going to work because we've got this craziness. They don't have a budget item for it. Like what are some of those things that they have to consider?
Part of it is just the budgeting process and fitting into what their schedule is.
Okay.
We're not as expensive as probably I would like us to be, but so it's not some big ticket item budgeting event for a city.
Right.
And to be honest, if I can price it accordingly to reduce my sales cycle, in a lot of cases, it's worth it just to get. I want people using the system. The more people I have using the system, the more that we're going to learn, the more we're going to improve it. So, but that's generally the big challenge. And like I talked about before, just sort of some people feeling comfortable with the box that they've checked with an app. And then in addition to that, you have these. I have never talked to a city that loves their back end sort of CRM software system. And so part of the challenge is integrating into those systems, which is not terribly hard if they have an open API, which we can do. But just kind of making all those connections in the sale to be like, it's okay, we can do this, And
so talk to me a little bit about routing. So we talked in the break about, you could have city, you could have state, you could have, what else could you have? County government. And so my request, I could potentially have the city picking up my trash, but I live on a county road, or how does that work on your side? Is that?
It's a great question. So the first way is cities are dealing with those issues all the time.
Okay.
And so they'll put people in touch with the appropriate entity if it's not them. But what's cool about technology is our ability to, right now we integrate with Google Maps so we can plot the issues on a map to help the city on the back end. If we're talking about something they need to fix, we can plot it such that they can deploy their resources more efficiently. Hey, let's go fix all the potholes in this part of town today and not be zigzagging across a city with traffic issues, et cetera.
Right.
But with the technology, what we'll ultimately be able to do with the GIS technology is be able to locate where an event is that needs to be fixed and also be able to immediately know the municipality. So are you in a city? Are you in an unincorporated part of the county? Or is this a function of the county? Our adoption of that technology, ultimate adoption of that technology will enable technology to immediately pinpoint who needs to make the fix, so to speak.
Yeah. So challenges other than the sales cycle. So you said that's long. staffing, raising the money to put it together? What have you worked through that?
So we're a super bootstrapped startup. And so the first thing that we were able to do is build a great partnership with the equity team.
Okay.
So I call him Obi-Wan Kenobi of software development in Charleston, a gentleman named Tom Wilson, who is the person that actually recruited me into the software technology ecosystem here in Charleston. And he's an amazing, humble, sweet, brilliant software developer. And then I have another partner, Lee Days, who runs a full-service marketing agency in town called Obviously Marketing. And through that partnership, we've been able to sort of think through the technological architecture of the product and market and brand it. So that's been helpful. And so as a consequence of that, it's been me 100% of the time, 150% of the time since we formed the company, which was 2 Octobers ago, October of 2016.
Okay.
I'm about to start making some hires now, and I feel very much the weight of trying to make the right decision there. And the first hire will be an inside sales person to help me on sales, and then we'll hire a software developer, and then more.
Yeah.
So but what I am so blessed with, and which I do as much as I can, is reach out to mentors as much as I can. And I know for your listeners, I can't overemphasize that point enough, is to know what your weaknesses are and go with humility to ask the questions from people who know what they're talking about to help you with that.
Well, and even from that perspective, just getting someone else's perspective on what's your idea or your problem is opens it up.
Exactly.
When you're able to talk to somebody about it and say, hey, I'm struggling here, and they can say, oh, have you thought about this? I haven't thought about that. That's a great idea, or at least something to consider.
Absolutely. So I'm very fortunate that I have a long list of folks to reach out to. And some are the folks who've agreed to invest in the business, which I'm raising an initial kind of seed round right now to enable me to make these hires and go to conferences and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, this is my first startup, so I don't have my own experience from doing this before to compare the fundraising effort to something I've done in the past, because I've never done that before.
What did you do in the past?
I was in the shipping international business world.
Okay.
Here in Charleston, doing a lot of business in Central and Latin America and Southeast Asia.
Got it.
For about 12 years. And so great experiences, and excited that I did a career pivot when I did. But fundraising, so I can't even tell you whether or not it's been a challenge. I think some people might be a little bit skeptical of GovTech, but I think that world has changed dramatically, even in the last 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Where Berkshire Hathaway made $100+ million investment in a company called Excella, which is a big government software company. And you're starting to see some of those types of transactions and investments taking place because you're seeing government, they're getting more savvy. They want to get the good stuff, and more of the good technology is becoming more available over time in the government space. But my dream client, and this shows you how nuts I am, is the IRS.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because they have the worst customer service on the planet. I try not to ever
even say their name.
Yeah, I know. It's like, if you call them after like 9:30 in the morning, they tell you to call the next day.
Right.
It's like, how bad could customer service be?
Right.
But anyways, that's kind of an aside, and just shows you my insanity probably, but anyways.
Yeah, and so we're talking to you here at the Harbor Entrepreneur Center. Have you been part of that since you started
we
this?
We were in their cohort 7, which commenced about a year ago, almost to the day. Okay. So we're in that cohort through April.
Okay. Yep.
Had a great experience with some other great companies and great people.
Yep.
And very grateful for the opportunity, for sure.
And so for you, future, you've got some hires you have to make. And what are some other things you're thinking about as it relates to the
technology evolution? We actually have a call with, I'm outsourcing our artificial intelligence development.
Okay.
And so we have our launch kickoff call with them on building our version 2.0 this afternoon.
Okay.
And I'm very excited about that. It's a big investment for us. It'd be a small investment probably for your typical company, but
Right.
I'm excited about how they can help us improve our conversational technology, and then ultimately inside the Amazon Web Services ecosystem, connect us to voice interactiveness, because
Yeah, I
that's
was
where
going
the
to
tech.
ask. Alexa's my favorite. So
Yes.
meaning of all the assistants, she's the one who understands my Southern.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
The
Good.
others
Good for her.
don't
Yeah.
get it. They say things back. I'm like, nope,
Nope.
don't say that at all. But Alexa's pretty good with that. And I've noticed when I say living room, I say it too fast. I can't believe Alexa ever picks up on it. So having her connected in and telling the government something or whatever, and I could see application even for like utility companies for what you're doing, because we have lots of power outage issues. too.
I've pitched that to
Yeah.
utility, Santee Cooper. It would be the easiest way for people to report a power outage. And utility companies are also famous for terrible customer service.
And letting you know when and all that wonderful
Yeah,
stuff.
and it's the easiest application.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes.
Well, we wish you the greatest of luck.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
thanks so much
appreciate
for joining us. We've been talking with Bratton Riley. He is the founder of CityBot, hopefully soon to your city so that you can communicate with your local municipalities via text. You've been listening to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Join us each week as we bring you another story of an entrepreneur along their journey. Until next time, what are you going to do to build your best business?